in housing, transportation improvement, child services, adult opportunities, additional services and amenities, and issues relating to health improvement and so on. Next.
Remember, just, excuse me, David, just remember everyone, someone needs to mute their mic, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and we also had the feedbacks that we classified as general concerns and pillars. So because we have grouped all our information in a segment of 4 pillars. And then that will come up later on, you know, housing, health, job, and economic education. So, and those are the pillars. And these, some of the other concerns that we have relating to security mainly and connectivity, better lighting, safe environment. You know, what are we gonna do with the Oaks? Keep it, preserve it. Bus stops connection, and then parking, Zion Cemetery, and so forth. Because Zion Cemetery is also part of the master plan. And of course, there was this concern about, you know, are the units gonna have air conditioning, so forth, of course. But just to be meticulous and detail oriented in terms of the outcome, we listed everything. Next. And this slide is showing where the 4 pillars: education, health, and wellness. We have basic needs and services relating to housing and job and economic vitality. Of course, within it, you're gonna have all the services that will be provided within those 4 pillars. You know, these are the THA basic need wraparound. This is coming out of PPS. You have the health clinic, health insurance, wellness facility, education enrichment, technology center, teaching, kitchen and nutrition, job connection. There's a lot of services that will be coming from there, of which, you know, PPS will be part of the tenants within the hub. The 50,000 square feet hub will be where all the services will be maintained. Next. And this is a segment sort of showing how the hub will work. If you have need related to housing, you walk into the hub and you will be directed by a concierge or a service navigator. And that person would then take you to areas or who will be able to provide a specific service to you relating to your concern. Of course, within that, you will have the wraparound services. The county will be there, and THA, Tampa Police will be there, Metropolitan Police Ministry, Feeding Tampa Bay, on-site child care, and Healthy Start Coalition will be there as well. So Tampa Housing Authority will be there. Like I said, PPS will be representing THA in that aspect. And needs that will be addressed, of course, will relate to food and housing stability, safety and security, technology access, and childcare, and some other myriad of services that may not be listed here. But if it's something that is out of this bound, we have partnership as well that will connect you to the services that will take care of your need. But it's one-stop shop where the lack of transportation or access will not hinder one from getting help or getting the services that they need. Next. And then health and wellness, the same concept, but if you look into that little bubble, you will see those who will be represented within the hub that will provide services related to health and wellness. Will be Baycare, Tampa Family Health, Tampa General, and Hillsborough County. And of course, dental, wellness and fitness center, and whatever services that you need relating to health will be provided. If they are not immediately located within that hub, you will be connected to our partners that will be outside of the hub. But the assistance that we will provide will, of course, be helpful enough to connect you to your specific needs. Next. And education, very important. We envision to tackle that from early age, from 3 years old, to begin to expose that kid to the importance of education, so that any assignment middle school, they'll be focused on that tutoring, cultural activities, and social and emotional counseling. Even during summer, that hub will have services that will keep people focused and in place, so that they're not losing time, they're not losing focus, because very often during the holidays is when people or kids have the tendency to sort of shift and lose connection to their focus. But there will be a lot of tutoring and job plus initiative and mobility, including adult education as well, and even high school development, high school youth development. The services will be tutoring, cultural activities, social and emotional counseling, media arts discipline, and anything related to even your business will be pertaining to that growth in terms of one's career will be presented here. Will be provided here as well. Next. And the job and economic vitality, of course, THA has a lot of hands on this as we do a lot of redevelopment. We of course connect our residents to have access to job placement, even for establishing their own business. So there will be remote services on job training, apprenticeship, and community college courses will be offered as well. And the hub will provide computer lab, remote learning programs, computer literacy programs, soft skill courses, business incubator space for those who want to have their own business. There will be counseling, there will be financial aid, business startup advice, and legal assistance. There'll be a lot of help to establish one to make sure that the person gets help. But so this is a one-stop shop again that'll provide a lot of assistance to our residents. Next. That's the master plan. As you look at this master plan, you'll begin to see the concept in terms of how it's laid. To your north, where you see the big buildings, the AA, AB, BB, and BC. These will be typical multifamily development, 5 to 6 story, 120, 220 units, and they sort of buffer the site to where you have more commercial engagement towards Martin Luther King. But to your west, Florida Avenue, you have the Zion Cemetery, and also you have that buffers the site, and then next to it will be series of homeownership development, which sort of relates to the rest of the context, because as you depart from the site, you begin to get a scale down development that sort of relate to residential development. And you see the EE, that's the senior housing development, pushed down to the south area, where you have a lot of open area, gives the seniors the ability to be accessible, to have access, direct access to the park, and have means of walkability and so forth, which would be good for them. And then you see the seashell by the half roundabout that brings you to the cemetery, which again, the imagery there in terms of flow brings memory to what was exhumed from the ground when the site was being reviewed for remains. So that seashell concept is what you see there, and that's a memorial walk that sort of bring you to that to the cemetery bring you to the cemetery to more of celebration of life because of what happened to that area on that site. And then you have the C building to the south. That's towards the gateway, which is number one. This gateway C building is the market rate development that will be developed as well. And then you have the hub, which is the D, centers on that's right in the middle, where everybody can see it, accessible to the site as well. So this is a draft, as you know. As we continue with this master plan, there may be some few changes. And right now it's showing about 1,012 units. That's what it's showing. Of course, you're gonna have a mixed use. You have 11 is the grocery store. You have commercial public space, which is the 12,000 square feet on 12 next to BC. So there's going to be a lot of discussion in terms of as we begin to develop this thing, because right now we have, of course, completed the review of our developer partners. So, but that will be talked about later on. Next. And that's the symmetry. We show three concepts here. The first concept is just clear, no showing, but showing the boundaries where the remains were found. The second is just showing the building footprint for nostalgia, sort of showing how the building encroached into the cemetery. And then the other one is sort of a park setting with water flow and bounds and swales to represent life. Water represent life, and the balm and swell is to give a sense of privacy within the specific area where the remains were found. So it becomes a place where one comes to celebrate life as opposed to talk mourn life, because we rejoice to the fact that those people were found and they live forever. Next. And this is just imagery of participation by residents during the workshop. Next. And this is just, you can just show the rest of it. But again, this is our proof that you were part of the formation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. And so everyone knows, if you do have a question, I see many of you are typing your questions in chat. Continue to do that, and we'll address your questions after each presentation. So Rosa, do we have anyone, any questions for David?
Good morning, Todd. No, there's no questions for David. I think there's just a few people having problems hearing this morning.
Yeah, it happens every time. So it's got to be from, I don't know, from the equipment or.
Yeah, it is common. And there is a setting, a volume setting. You'll have to just experiment with that as you're able, but there is a volume setting in the app. So, you know, experiment with that, or call me after the meeting. I might be able to help you with that. Okay, so let's get to our next presenter. Is going to be Bill Jackson, the Director of Public Safety and Community Patrol. And Bill, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day, and I want to thank you for participating in this relocation endeavor. I want to touch yourself or become a victim of crime. Can you give me the next slide, please, Todd?
Yep. There we go.
Okay. Now you're okay. Okay. All right. That's not the right one, Todd, but okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Go. Yeah. Again, this is anonymous hotline to let everybody know if you have information about a crime, or you have a concern about a safety hazard, lease violations, or employer contract abuse. You can use this anonymous hotline. You do not have to leave your name or anything. Just when you do use it, please leave as much detailed information as you can so we can thoroughly investigate it. But again, here's the hotline, and my team, Fastline's just completed those. We're going to be handing out those magnets on next week, Monday and Tuesday, to everybody at all the properties. Next. When we talk about personal safety, there's 3 rules of personal safety. The first one is stay alert. You got to be aware of your surroundings at all times. And also try not to ever travel alone. Ask a friend to accompany you. You know, in groups, you're less likely to become a victim of crime. You also, when you're out and about, you need to communicate physically that you're calm, confident, and you know what you're doing. Stand tall,
Good, I'm on.
stand tall, walk with purpose, make quick eye contact with those around you. So if you see somebody, don't look down, just look at them, make contact, because then they know that you've observed them and you can identify them. So if they do anything kind of foolish, okay, trust your instincts. If you feel uncomfortable in a place or a situation, leave. And we know when people tell you when the hair stands on the back of your neck or something like that, or you just get the chills, okay, it's time to leave. That's God's gift to tell you that's an internal line. You got to get out of there. Next, please. Okay. When you're home alone, keep your doors locked at all times, whether it's day or night. Don't leave notes on your door or newspaper on your porch. That just lets everybody know that you're either not there or, it just lets people think that you're not there. Okay. Close your drapes and blinds at night. Don't leave them open, because at nighttime, if you have the lights on, everybody's got a clear view of what's going on. Don't automatically open the door when somebody knocks on it. Have the person identify themselves. Shout through the door, "Who is it?" And have them identify that. Just don't open the door. Okay. If a stranger asks you for help, again, don't open the door. And they want you to make a phone call for emergencies, go ahead and make a call for them. Don't let them in your house. If you're asked whether anyone else is in your home, always reply yeah and tell them they're asleep, or yeah, just, during the day, yes, we got a bunch of people here. How can I help you? If you return home and suspect a break-in, please don't go into your unit. Immediately call 911 and have the police go in there for you and check it out. Next. Okay, when you're walking home alone, walk only on busy, well-lighted streets. Avoid shortcuts such as parking lots, alleyways, or parks, or cutting through the common areas in Robles Park. Don't accept rides with strangers that are distant acquaintances. If someone in your vehicle asks for directions, keep back far enough where they can't grab you. You need to teach your children that as well. If you are being followed, cross the street and go the other way and walk towards lights and people. If you are being followed by a vehicle, turn and run in the opposite direction, because the driver will have to turn around before they can continue following you, and there's more likely you'll be able to get away. When returning home, have your keys ready in your hand to unlock your door instead of digging in your purse, because that gives somebody more time to attack you. Next one, please. When driving alone, keep a cell phone handy in case your vehicle breaks down. Know who to call. Keep vehicle doors locked at all times. Lower windows only slightly so no one can reach inside. Maintain a relatively full tank of gas at all times. Choose a well-lit, well-traveled route. Do not pick up hitchhikers. Don't stop to help strangers and to get help for them. If someone follows you, don't go. Drive to an open business and call if possible. Record a license plate of the other drivers. So again, if a stranger needs help, please call 911. And tell them the directions and tell them where they're at, and they'll come and help them out. And again, same way, if you got suspicious person, get all the information you can and call 911 and give them that information as well. Next, please. Parking your vehicle. Park in a well-lighted area. If parking during the day and returning at night, check for streetlights. Always lock your vehicle. Put valuables in the trunk. Be cautious when parking next to a van. Be cautious, look around, and don't linger. Do not leave valuables on your front seat. Okay, that's just one major issue of people getting their cars broken in, is when they leave their purse, or they leave a computer, or they leave a phone in their car and it's visible. You're asking for your car to be broken into. Next slide, please, Don. If attacked, remain calm as possible. Remember, your initiative and imagination is your best defense. Passive resistance. Involve using your imagination to delay the attack by looking for a chance to escape or attempt to talk to the attacker out of the assault. Okay. Remain calm and show as little fear as possible. If you do, by doing that, you're de-escalating the situation of your attacker. Talk to the attacker if time permits. In some cases, it will help you calm you both down. Refrain from talking to the attacker if it aggravates him. I'm sorry about that. Treat attackers as a person and try to gain attacker's confidence. This may cause the attacker to let their guard down and allow you to escape. Okay, attacker's resistance. Okay. Involves physical force to repel the attacker. Scream or yell. So if they're grabbing you and they're attacking you, you need to scream as loud as you can and continue to do that and yell as loud as you can until you get somebody's help. If you're grabbed from behind, kick your head back and hit them in the nose and the chin, and take your foot, lift it up and hit them right in the arch of their front of their foot. Okay, that's a karate move, and that'll break their hold on you. You can run. Press your tongue hard into the person's eyes. I mean, to the point where you're poking their eyes out. Okay, don't be afraid to do that. You're trying to save your life. Run towards people in light areas and continue to yell until somebody responds. Next, please, Tom. Be kind, be calm, be safe. Remember, if you see something, say something and report a crime. Thank you very much, everybody. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Yes, sir. I've got those as well. And yes, we have already implemented some of them. And we are attempting to implement the rest of them as well. But yes, sir. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Bill, Rosa?
Good morning again. No, there's no questions for Mr. Bill. Questions have come in around the move, which I know we'll answer later. One more, well, hold on. One question, security guard here at Robles Park. Are there security guards at Robles Park? Because my car is being once again vandalized by whom I don't know, don't have any idea. Security, Mr. Bill, at Robles Park.
Yes, we have security there. In fact, what I'll do is I will, well, here, let me go ahead and give you the direct phone number right now where you can contact Chris. Let's see, Chris Irving. His cell phone number is 813-392-9351. He patrols Robles Park constantly. You can call him 24/7. You can also call me at 813-299-4230, and we'll be happy to address any issues you have. If you see a crime taking place, please call 911 first and then call us. Okay? Thank you.
Yeah, and Bill, can you repeat that number slowly so they can write it out?
In fact, let's type the numbers, Bill. Let's type them in the chat so that everyone can
okay, I'll take care of that right now.
Bill, Jerome, I want to make sure though that we understand that the police department is the primary security agency in this city.
Listen.
So, you know, if you're having problems, vandalized cars or whatever the case may be, make sure you call the police department. You know, our role can't be 24-hour security services, period. So I want to make sure everybody understands that's the police department's primary responsibility. So you need to take advantage of that and contact the police department. Give them the police department's number too. Put that in the chat.
I will.
You know, not just the 911 number, but the police department number itself. Make sure that's in the chat. But I want to make sure everybody understands that, you know, that's their role primarily. That's what they get paid to do. And I want to make sure everybody understand that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Our next presenter will be Miss Stephanie Brown Gilmore. Miss Stephanie is the Director of Program and Property Services, and she and her staff are going to talk about supportive services. Stephanie?
Yes, good morning. Good morning, everybody. And thank you, Todd, very much. All I'd like to do this morning, of course, as we do bi-weekly with the residents, is just to reemphasize that case management and supportive services at Robles Park is still going on now. I know we've been in a time the last 2 years with COVID, but I want to continue to let the residents know that if you require service, please don't hesitate to go to the case management office and just knock on that door until someone answers it, or if you have phone numbers for individuals, please don't hesitate to call them, because that's their responsibility to make sure that you're still getting the supportive services that you need. As long as there is a staff person in the office, your questions or inquiries can always be answered. At the time of relocation, David Alonia has informed all of you all that there will be ongoing services as well as new services that will be available. Again, I just want to remind you of a few, and that's healthcare, and that'll include food and nutrition and access to healthy foods, tutoring, GED or high school diploma if you have that interest to go to that level. Any extended opportunity that includes high school diplomas and college or junior college will be available as well. We'll also have some extended youth services at Robles, job training, job development, childcare assistance. And let me continue to make you aware that case management services, and case management will be available to you at all times. I want to introduce you again this morning to Janice DeManzi and Rosa Hill on my staff. They're going to talk to you briefly about, actually, Janice is going to talk to you briefly about current programs that are available on site to Robles Park residents, and Rosa, who will lead the case management services at the time of relocation, will talk to you about those and the supportive services during and after relocation. Again, I can't emphasize enough, and I want to continue to remind you that our services are detailed in the master plan. And if you have any difficulty accessing that plan, please don't hesitate to go see Michael Randolph. Michael Randolph, or any of my staff. They have put out a flyer. I will continue to ask my staff to do that. And that lists 3 managers that are available to any of your questions regarding case management or services or programs. Again, that is Rosa Hill, that is Janice DeManzi, and Kira Thompson. Thank you all for your time this morning. And Janice, if you're next.
You're on mute, Janice.
Thank you, Stephanie. Good morning, everyone. Todd, if you can put up the slide, please. Okay, the services, job readiness and employment services are available through our job developer, provides resume writing, employment search strategies, interviewing techniques, employment workshops, job placement, workplace essentials, and job retention skills. And that's Shante Abdullah, our job developer. Next slide, please. Our tax credit tools, T3, is funded by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. It provides earned income tax credit education and tax prep services, financial workshops, and referrals for support service to individuals in Hillsborough County, ages 24 to 64. You can receive up to $100 in incentives for completing the financial workshops. And there are a number of contacts: Legna Ortiz, Outreach Specialist, Cherie Calloway, Communication Specialist, and Sharitha Parnell, Outreach Specialist. I will be putting their contact information in the chat. Next slide, please. The Housing Support Services is funded by the Children's Board of Hillsborough County. It provides financial workshop to individuals ages 18 and up in Hillsborough County. Again, you can receive up to $80 in incentives for completing the financial workshops. And the contact person is Eileen McCoy, Housing Counseling Support Specialist. Next slide. Village Link Up is another program that provides services at Robles. It's funded by the Children's Board of Hillsborough County. Village Link Up provides case management, tutoring support, educational workshops, support services to parents with elementary age children. Services also include counseling and crisis services. Residents will receive a $25 gift certificate after enrolling to the program. And the list of case managers for that program is Jessica McDaniel, Glenda Lee Rosario, and Katrin Felix. Next slide, please. And the last service is the delinquency prevention. It's funded by the Office of Juvenile Justice for ages 8 to 15 for at-risk for gangs and violence. The program provides positive out-of-school education and recreation activities to redirect youth into making positive choices. The contact for that program is Dwayne Morgan, Assistant Youth and Sports Manager. Again, I'll put the information in the in the chat rather, and I'll turn it over to Rosa Hill.
Hello, everyone. As Ms. Stephanie Brown Gilmore just stated, case management services is available on property at the center there at Robles behind the daycare and the property office. So you can go there anytime and get your questions answered and find out information. When relocation starts, case management starts with a family individual assessment, which is an all-inclusive resident needs assessment that gives us information about you and your family dynamics. So it's a starting point for us case managers starting to work with you. We move from the family individual assessment to our step 2, which is a family individual case plan. The case plan is something that we design with you. It is your goals that we put down on paper, and we design and put in place strategies to help you and your family members reach those goals. Career and education, as Mr. Alonia stated earlier, we start the earlier the better. We want to make sure that everyone in your household is receiving school information, going to school, in good attendance in school, no truancies, no tardies, those types of things, and as well as the adults, any continued education, GED, ABE, even second languages. If you're interested in those things, going to get a certification, a college degree, any type of career planning, educational planning goal you have, we as your case manager will be here to help you. I want to thank everyone that completed the pre-relocation survey 2 weeks ago. If you did not complete the survey because you were working, I had some people send me their email address. I've emailed the survey out to them. You can still complete that survey, but just know it's a one-time thing. You do not have to complete that pre-move survey but one time. We were able to get 155 heads of households to complete that survey. And as I said, several people that are working during the hours of 8 to 5 are emailing me to get their survey completed. If you have any questions for me, those of you who do not have my contact information, I will place it in the chat. And again, I see we have a huge 61 participants online. Thank you so much. I've been working diligently. I listen to your comments. I read your emails about getting the meeting notifications out early, about trying to make this more convenient for residents. So we sent it out yesterday. We sent it out again this morning, and you got the message. So I'm very pleased with that. That is a primary goal for me and my staff, to make sure that everyone that wants to have access to these meetings get access. So again, I'll place my information in the chat. If anyone needs to send me an email or have any questions, you can get my information from there. And Mr. Todd, there are no questions other than someone needs a survey paper, and I can email that out to them. Okay? Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Randolph, for reiterating that for us. Thank you so much. Todd, it's back on you. I'll look in the chat while you're talking to see if we have any questions.
All right, thank you, Rosa. For the next segment, I'd like to speak for a few minutes about lease compliance and property management. Let me get the screen up here. So when we begin the relocation process, you all are going to have a lot of options available to you and decisions that you're going to have to make. Two of those decisions are going to be, one, do you want to accept a Section 8 voucher and go rent from a landlord in the private market, or do you want to live on, relocate to one of our other owned or managed properties? Regardless of what you decide you want, those landlords are going to want to know what type of tenant you've been. And of course, we want to report that you've been a tenant in good standing. Those landlords are going to send me a landlord verification form. And some of the questions they ask are, do you pay your rent on time? Are there any lease violations? Have you ever been filed for eviction? What type of housekeeping? How are you maintaining the unit? And do you have a lot of loud music, parties, disturbances? And of course, we have to report to them what has occurred. I'd like to talk, first of all, about any of you that may have a back rent that you're trying to catch up on. It's very important that you're making restitution on any debt that you owe before relocation. And there's a lot of money available through third-party agencies right now that can assist you with that. You do have to qualify. You've got to complete an application. One of those organizations is Hillsborough County's R3 program. The assistance that they're giving is to help with rent. Many of you have been affected by either reduced hours or loss of employment or change of employment, resulting in negatively affecting your income. So if you fall into that category, I encourage you strongly to apply for assistance. What I'm finding is that they're helping not only with back rent, but up to 3 months in advance of rent if you qualify. So the website is posted here for the R3 program. If you have a problem with technology or you don't have access to the internet for whatever reason, if you call the office, we can apply for you, but we're going to have you sign a release or an authorization that we can apply on your behalf for this assistance. If we do that for you, you're still a part of the process. Once we complete that application, we're going to send you the application ID and this website address and phone number, and you're going to have to continue to monitor that progress until assistance is given. Because we have an obligation as a management company. If you're behind on your rent, we're going to continue to send those late notices to you and continue to process you legally. So we want to help you. If you qualify for assistance, we want to help you get that assistance. The second company is Our Florida. They've helped a lot of you already. If for any reason you are denied, you can still reapply. Or if they've given you assistance and your circumstances changed, you can reapply. So what they ask us for is generally a copy of your lease, how much do you owe, what your monthly obligation is. Sometimes they'll want you to upload your ID. So again, you're a part of that process. Why is it important? Because you have to keep paying your rent. Just because we've had COVID and a pandemic doesn't mean you're not obligated to make your rent payment. We want you to avoid late fees. We want you to avoid the legal process. So take advantage of this while you can. If you don't qualify for either of these programs, see me and we'll talk about putting you on some type of a payment plan. But it's very important that everyone's making restitution on any back debt that they owe. Okay, so the next 4 items that I want to just touch on are lease violations. Okay, like I said, we want to report that you're a tenant in good standing. As a manager here at Robles, what I see is guests. Your guests don't know what the lease requires of them. You're responsible for letting your guests know what your obligations are. You're responsible for your guests' behavior. They don't know that they can't crank the music up loud. They don't know that they can't be disruptive at late hours of the night. You've got to tell them that, and it's your responsibility to enforce that. So you're responsible for your guests, and loud noises and other nuisances, just be considerate of your neighbor. You know, if your kids are trying to get to sleep at night because they have school the next day, you don't want to hear your neighbor cranking the music real loud. So be considerate of them. The last two things are just keeping your unit clean and properly disposing of garbage. A lot of you will have your children take garbage to the dump. Let's make sure it gets there. We've hired 5 of you tenants. We call it the clean team, to assist us every day picking up garbage on the property. And too often that's what we see. The garbage just doesn't make it there. So if you're sending your child down to dispose of the garbage, make sure it gets there. You be responsible for them. And then as far as monitoring your children, as I've said before, too often the kids will have a disagreement and then the parents get involved and it escalates. So all of these things we're talking about are within your control to keep a handle on and not let things get out of control. So just be mindful of that and get your house in order now before we actually start relocation. Again, we want to report you're a tenant in good standing and have you make a good first impression on your landlord. That's all I have. And let me just add something I didn't tell you too. If you don't owe rent or you don't pay rent or you don't have any back rent, don't apply, because we're obligated to send the money back. So it's not a piggy bank where you can bankroll assistance in the event that you might owe rent in the future. It's not like that. Or there are other legitimate families out there that need this assistance. And fraud is something that is monitored very closely. So if you don't pay rent and you don't have any back rent, don't apply. If you double dip, what we call double dip, you apply for both, assistance from both agencies and get checks from both agencies for the same $500 that you're behind on, one of those checks is going to be sent back. So just know that if you need assistance, by all means apply, and I encourage you to do that right away, because it's a process. It's going to take some time to get approved and for us to receive those funds. So if you need the money, apply, but if you don't need it, don't apply. So, okay, any other questions, Rosa?
Okay, questions in the chat is about, of course, relocation, when, how soon. The other question is, why is this program not a Hope 6 program, where which would allow residents to use their vouchers towards home ownership? So I know Ms. Jones is going to come on next and talk about the assisted housing. So she would address that question, as well as how do you go about purchasing a home and what steps would that take?
That's right. So our next presenter will be Margaret Jones, the director of the Assisted Housing Department, and she's going to talk about the advanced planning for relocation.
Good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Margaret Jones. I'm the Director of Assisted Housing Programs for the Tampa Housing Authority. Most likely we have interacted before, maybe via email. You already, the families at ROBLES, have a housing specialist, which of all the relocations that we have done, ROBLES has such a great advantage in that, at least from my perspective, in that you already understand the subsidy side. Some of you have already probably been issued a voucher, maybe opted to stay at ROBLES, or maybe you didn't locate a unit at this time. But again, the whole understanding of what recertifications look like with my department and having a housing specialist, that barrier is eliminated because you already have a housing specialist who will work with you once relocation starts on my side. You heard earlier with Rosa and Janice regarding case management, which is one of the greatest benefits that you have as well. When you got the voucher before and you were living at Robles, you didn't really have someone to help you find a unit outside of Robles, but with this relocation process, you definitely will. Of course, you'll have the funding sources too, application fees, security deposit, which you didn't have previously. So it's most likely you will succeed in searching for a unit. And then as Todd said, even if you didn't find a unit with a voucher, we do have properties that we own that you will have opportunity to move into as well. So you get to bypass wait list and other individuals that are waiting for opportunities at, let's just say, West River, the newest redevelopment that we have done so far. We opened 3 buildings in October, November, or yeah, I think August, September, October, around there. And we'll again be opening buildings in the next 2 years. So you'll have opportunity to move. But this is just a brief presentation of what to expect when we start the relocation phase. When we actually start doing it, you're going to have a lengthier briefing about what it's going to look like as it relates to getting the voucher and the relocation. You'll have how we did it before was it's like 3 different programs you had to undergo. And one of them was, understanding Section 8. Well, you already understand it because you're actually working through it right now. So next slide. So one of the things that I really wanted to kind of talk about prior to relocation is what to look for as you go out on your search efforts. And your search efforts will probably start when the relocation starts. But I do want you to start thinking about now, where is it that I want to move to? What is it going to look like? Do you want to move to Riverview, Apollo Beach? Do you want to move downtown Tampa? Where is it that you want to go? And start kind of focusing your attention on those particular areas. And I say that because you want to look at, do they have your own support system? People talk about Robles Park and, et cetera, but you might have your support system in this particular area. Is it in West Tampa? Is it East Tampa? Where do you have that individual that maybe helps you take care of your children or whatever that may be? You want to look at the school systems wherever you want to move. How do they rate? Are they F, Ds, Cs? What do they look like? Employment opportunities. How are the employment opportunities where you want to locate? Do you have transportation to, let's say you want to move to Apollo Beach or Riverview, but your job's in the city of Tampa? Do you have the transportation to go back and forth? And I've been here 15 years and I cannot believe the amount of traffic that we have so far. So just to keep that in mind, getting back and forth to work and getting your kids to daycare. Crime, how is the crime in the neighborhood? And the best way to do that is look at police reports, contact the local police department or see if you can get calls for service in that particular area. Go by at nighttime, of course, weekends, we'll see what it looks like. And then childcare, make sure that you are located in an area where they have the childcare that you're looking for. I know my daughter moved out 2 years ago, moved to Brandon, couldn't find childcare. So it did her no good. So just kind of be mindful of these things as you start your search in the communities. Next. Some of the things that may help you start looking at what your credit may look like. Now, I have conversations with property managers and real estate agents, and they're saying they don't really do extensive, not background checks by credit, but background checks by evictions. Have you been evicted? When they contact your landlord, like Todd was saying, what would your landlord say? How your history has been as a resident? Have you received all these notices because you've been disturbing the peace? Have you not paid your rent on time? How is your housekeeping habits? Landlords want to know that when they rent to you. They don't want to take that risk, unfortunately, if they don't have to. And the market is so tight right now. And I think some of you already know that. So you want to make sure that everything that you have available to fix, you fix. What does your credit report look like? Can you fix it in the time frame when you start that search effort? There may be wait lists for apartment complexes. I know we've seen a huge uptick in wait lists because there are about 116 to 150 people moving to this area every day. This is the third largest metro area that is just growing the fastest. So we're in quite a time. So you want to make sure that you reach out to the property to ask, you know, what's the background check look like? Do you have a wait list? You can wait with your case manager and they can help you walk through that process. But some of you are already, you know, you're already efficient in that area where you can call, you can ask, hey, do you have a wait list? And then what I learned on these calls was that to get on a wait list, you're going to have to pay they actually do an application process with you. They want to make sure that you're even eligible to even put you on the wait list. And the application fee, if you pay it now, is not reimbursable. I don't think. That's a question, I think, for Rosa to get on the list. So I don't know how we would work that out. But from what I understand, you can't get on a wait list unless you do pay an application fee so they can do the background check. Unincorporated areas, right now, there is an ordinance in place passed by Hillsborough County, March 20 of 21, whereas landlords in the unincorporated areas outside of the city of Tampa cannot deny you rental application or renting a unit solely because you have a housing choice voucher. They can deny you for other things like credit checks or anything to that effect, but they cannot deny you outrightly by saying, hey, I'm not renting to you because you're on Section 8. So if that happens while you're out there searching, your case managers will be aware there is a website where you can go and you can file a complaint. It's just in the same category as any fair housing that we have: race, ethnicity, familial discrimination. So you just want to be mindful of that when you go for when you're searching for units. Next slide. So there's two tools I'm going to talk about really super quickly that's going to help you even now, or you can wait till you start your search. And one is the rent affordability calculator, and that's listed on our website. Our IT team created this tool, and we created it because we switched to small area fair market rents. When you get the document that tells you how many vouchers you have, before HUD mandated that we switch to a zip code model where every payment standard is, or every zip code has a payment standard. We can't really tell you the rent that you can go up to because I don't know what zip code you're moving to. So the rental affordability calculator is on our website, and the things that you need are your voucher size, your total tenant payment, which you should already know is 30% of your income, and the unit type. You can just play around with this thing. What unit type will you be looking for? Most likely it's going to be an apartment. It could be a single family home. And the unit size, whatever unit size that is the apartment complex, the unit that you're trying to find, the zip code, and the monthly rent to owner. And 9 times out of 10 for utilities, you're paying all utilities typically, maybe except for sewage and trash and water, but normally it's everything. So this tool is just very beneficial to play around with because what it will tell you is whether or not you can initially afford this unit. It helps alleviate going back and forth with, because what happens, once you get the voucher, you're going to get documents that called a request for tenancy approval. It goes to the owner to complete once you find a unit. And then once we get it back, we do a calculation to determine whether or not you can afford this rent based on your income. This tool helps landlords and you decide before you even turn in the RTA whether or not you can afford the contract rent. Next slide. And finally, it's a tool. It's FloridaHousingSearch.org. Helps you search for units in the community as well, based on zip codes, based on location, based on bedroom sizes, based on, do they allow pets? So this is a good tool for you. You can use it right now. Start searching for units in particular areas, wherever they might be. And if you go to that link, it's available like currently. And you can also use any other website like apartment.com, rental, I think it's rent.com. And whatever's available to you, your case manager will have that information. And I think that is it. So I am available for any questions if there are any. There was one question earlier about home ownership. Right now, families on the RIDE program, they're eligible for FSS, and that's the prerequisite to buying a home. So if you are not on the FSS program, I encourage you to join that program now. Well, or get on a wait list. Right now, we do have a wait list for it, but the program preps you to become a homeowner. And right now we have about 53 homeowners that are using their voucher to pay a mortgage instead of an owner. The concept though is you still have to qualify for a mortgage based on your income. So important, and your credit scores. So the FSS will help you get your credit scores where they need to be. If they're not yet there, we will send you to the home ownership side and they will help prep you to get there. But you do have to qualify on your own for a mortgage. We just pay the difference between your portion and the mortgage. And that's right after FSS. You do have to be a voucher holder to become a homeowner. But again, you guys have already, some of you cycled through the voucher program. Once you get the voucher, you can be in the pool of individuals that want to buy a home. Right now, homeownership costs are extreme, just like the rental costs are. So that's why right now it's slowing us down in getting families to become homeowners, but it'll pick back up. It will pick back up. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Yeah, and this is for the city of Tampa. Thank you, Michael. And that is such a good point. If you do call your city council members, let them know the importance of that.
Margaret?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
You're breaking up a little bit.
Thank you both for that. Michael, okay. Michael, I did hear you this morning. I was down there speaking on that as well for the tenant rights bill.
Awesome.
I do think they are going to pass it. And I did hear your comments this morning, Michael, but I was there present to voice my concerns on that.
Oh, very good. And we should have known that.
Okay, questions for Ms. Jones? The first questions will be answered, with the next presenter. When will relocation start? Will it take 2 years before relocation starts? But for Ms. Jones, can homes be purchased out of state? Rent to buy options? What's the link for FSS? And how do we get our vouchers?
So you can purchase a home out of state as long as the PHA, wherever you are relocating, have a home ownership program. If they do not have a home ownership program, then you cannot buy a home out of state. FSS wait time, I don't think it's very long. So the FSS, just email me, please. I'll put my email in the chat and I can give you a better answer. The wait list is not that long. We have the largest FSS program in the state of Florida. Our mandatory slots are about 75, but right now we have 370 people. My goal is to ensure families meet the goals that they need to become self-sufficient. So we are always trying to, and as well as that's the program property services goals as well. I mean, it's an overall agency goal, not just my goal, it's an agency goal, but we want to continually grow the FSS program and into home ownership. And Rent to own. Rent to own has always been an option on the voucher program. I don't think I have ever had one person in my 25 years ever do that. Still has to go through a legal process, but a rent to own process is very legal and you can do it now. And when are you getting your vouchers? I think that is really a question with the next presenter of when we're going to start that relocation phase.
So last question, is the home ownership program closed?
No, the homeownership program is never closed. We do have some lag time because of getting people into units, getting people prepped to purchase a home. Never closed. It's not closed.
That's all the questions I have.
All right, thank you very much, Margaret and Rosa. Our final presentation will be from Mr. Leroy Moore. Mr. Moore is our Chief Operating Officer, and he's going to talk about the schedule of activities moving forward.
Yes, I will do for Mr. Moore, if you can show the slide.
Right, David?
All right, good afternoon. It's 12:09. Good afternoon, everyone. We come to the schedule. As you know, we've been sharing this information and also sharing the schedule regarding how we're going to proceed with the process of relocation and redevelopment of that site. Of course, we've been holding the regular meetings, informational meeting, just like we are doing now. We also put out a solicitation for a developer since October last year. And we have several member board that reviewed the proposals. We completed that. And we now have potential developers pending the negotiation of the term sheet and of course the partnership agreement. This will be the PMG, Bank of America, BACDC for developer partner, and the vertical development will be related. You guys are familiar with related. They are our master developer for the West River project that is ongoing now. But within the next few months, we will, of course, finalize and establish the process for that developer partner agreement. But with respect to the vertical development, that's going to take a while, as we, is going to go through of course, we're going to go through the process of relocation and demolition of the site before you can begin to see anything vertical. So that activity is somewhere looking like probably 2 years from now before you can begin to see action with partnership on the part of the vertical developer. The relocation itself, of course, this will be contingent upon when we receive approval from HUD. We're looking at April, May in terms of the relocation document or request for approval that will be submitted to HUD. And so that will determine as to when we're going to begin the process. But we're looking at somewhat beginning the process in terms of the actual relocation. Of course, that's going to take us about a year or so. So we're looking sometimes towards the middle of this year before we can begin that process. And the demolition itself, we have talked about, and that's going to be in conjunction with the relocation itself, because depending on how the relocation, relocation will go, we don't know whether to proceed with single or multiple phase. We're still conducting. I think we had that survey conducted. I don't know if we have the result, but Rosa will have that result, and we've been reaching out to our residents, asking questions of their choice in terms of whether they want single or multiple relocation on site. In the past, of course, we've done single relocation, which allows us to relocate all the residents once and then come back with the demolition. Of course, that concept will allow a more efficient movement in terms of the process. But when done in phases, of course, it's gonna allow residents gonna be living on site through the process of construction and so forth. There may be some inconvenience, but the benefit there is the fact that you will be given the option right away to be retained on site, because you will see the progress right in process, and you will be more or less feel like you're participating fully in the overall engagement. But it brings more financial benefit without going through the process of completely moving the residents out and trying to move them back again. But we have provision for both, depending on what the outcome will be. And whatever the outcome is in terms of single or multiple, that will determine how we'll proceed with the demolition as well, whether it's going to be single or multiple demolition. And of course, the development will be in accordance with that. If it's a multiple, it will be in phases. Either way, we have to phase it and go through the process, just like we're doing at West River now. We first completed the Renaissance and the Mary Bethune. Now we're doing the multi-family development phase. Again, this will be broken down into phases. We have about 6 or 7 phases of construction as will be determined as we look at it now. But this may change as we once we begin to look into details with what we have as a master plan. I'm sure it will be tweaked. There'll be some tweak on the master plan. So based on that phase, the number of phases, of course, we will begin to proceed in that order. But typically, you're looking at 8 to 10 years of completion to build out. We started, for example, West River relocation was completed in November 2016. And we are very, we've moved efficiently in terms of where we are today, because everything is practically, in terms of the residential portion, funded, with the exception of phase 2 of the canopy and phase 1 of the T5, which is the workforce housing. So if you're looking at the time from 2016 to now, is 6 years, right? So, and given what we have ongoing, we've completed roughly about 681 units out of the 1,352 units that is now proposed to be built. Looking at that, you can begin to see that it is running within that range, 10 years. You know, sometimes you may slip into 12, but you know, staying within 8 to 10 years in terms of where we are today. So, and that's the outcome. But Rosa, I don't know what the survey, because we usually conduct this survey here, but we actually have an outline. I mean, I have a more robust event with the resident to reach out to the totality of our residents to make a good determination in terms of how we're going to proceed. But Rosa will give you that information.
Yes, Mr. Alonia, I do have the survey, and I have tallied what we collected 2 weeks ago, but Mr. Moore has not given me a close date yet. So I'm still accepting surveys from those residents that work between 8 and 5. Actually, I've mailed out about 6 or 8 of them just now while we're on the meeting. So as soon as we get a close date when we're not taking any surveys, we will be able to give out a final number and the final outcome from those surveys.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rosa. And of course, if there's any question regarding the timeline, the development, and the in terms of the process, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Okay, so excuse me, Mr. Randolph. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to make sure that because several people are email or texting or chatting, making sure that I don't miss that they really would like to know how much time they have, if it's going to start in 2 years, if it's going to start in 6 months, because they're hearing a bunch of numbers and not really getting a clear understanding on defined time to start relocation.
Let me speak to that real quick,
Okay.
Rosa. And hello, everyone. This is Leroy Moore. I just joined about 2 minutes ago. So thanks, David, for covering my content. On the relocation side, Rosa is finalizing the relocation survey. She just asked me to give her an end date when we want that to end. So how many survey completions have we had so far, Rosa?
As of 2 weeks ago, we had 155. I send out about 6 or 8 today. So as soon as I get those back, I'll put those in. But I did send you a preliminary report of the outcomes already in your email.
Yeah. So we've got about 50% of the residents at ROBLES have responded to that survey so far. We've got about 300 occupied units. We just heard that there's 155. We're going to have to provide that survey to HUD. And that's going to be our justification for the relocation approach that we're going to make. So Rosa, I would say we make one last week push to try to get as many of those additional surveys in as possible. I don't want to send it to HUD saying 50% of the site said this. I want to be able to say a majority of the site said this. If we can get to 60, 70% of the population, that'll be great. But I do believe we've got to cut it off at some point because it's been going on now for 3 weeks or so, Rosa, for the survey.
Yes, it's been going on for 3 weeks.
Yeah, so this is, I think, is our 3rd week. So let's push it through the Friday of next week. And that will be the last day that we will be taking surveys. And we will then quantify the total numbers and see where the results are. So far, the overwhelming result is that most of you want to relocate off-site. So according to the report I saw from Rosa last week, I think it was about 85% of the respondents said you want to leave ROBLES with a voucher or public housing, another public housing units, and you want the right to come back if you choose to come back, not that you would like to stay on site and move around while the redevelopment. Only about 15% said that they like to stay on site. We can't let 15% stay on site. It's going to be one way or the other. So that's why this survey is so important. So far, 85% of the people want to move. As long as that stays the trend through next week, then that's what we're going to propose to HUD. We have this relocation plan that we've almost got finished now. I'm going to be packaging that along with what's called a development proposal and submitting it to HUD by mid-April or first part of April, I hope. So if HUD gets that approved in 30 to 60 days, that's when we start relocation. So it's not a year from now. I don't think it's 6 months from now, but it is probably more like 3 to 4 months from now when we can get started with relocation. That's going to completely depend on when HUD approves the relocation plan. So as we continue to have these meetings, we will continue to give you the best target that we have. Understand that once we start relocation, if relocation starts June 1st, that doesn't mean that all 300 families start moving on June 1st. Relocation, once it starts, will take a full year. So some of you will move in the first 2 or 3 months. Some of you will move 6 months after relocation starts. Some of you won't be moving until a year after relocation starts. With 300 families, we've done this enough time with the amount of counseling and training and classes that we have to put you through, with the amount of time that it's going to take you to find a unit to rent on the Section 8 program. We know that that's going to take a full year. So if we were able to start June, July timeframe, it'll be June or July of next year before the final person leaves the site. And then we'll start demolition at that point. So once we get a firm date from HUD, once HUD approves it, we'll be able to give you concrete dates. But until then, we're just going to be telling you 3 to 4 months from now, 3 to 4 months from now. Okay. So that's the best answer we can give you right now in terms of when relocation will start. That said, as soon as we get this relocation plan submitted to HUD so that they can start reviewing it, I think we're going to go ahead and get started with some of our classes. There's some mandatory classes that everybody will have to take. You've already heard about that. We'll get started with some of our counseling so that we can start getting people ready for relocation before we get the final approval from HUD to start relocation. We just cannot move anyone until after HUD approval of the relocation plan. But we can get people counseled, get some of the training conducted so that some people will be at the front of the line when we do get that final approval from HUD. All right. So hopefully I answered a few of those questions that I see in the chat. Rosa, any others that we need to expound on? And I think Michael had a question as well. Michael.
Yeah, so what is the two option? I'm sorry, I missed that. When you started speaking, I missed the initial
Yeah,
question.
vertical. He said, can you explain? You used the term vertical development in your
Okay.
presentation. So he said,
Yeah.
explain the difference between vertical development and horizontal.
Right. When we put out our request for qualification for the selection of the developers, we put in there qualification for two different type of development. One would be the master developer partner, which would be partnering with THA to oversee the totality of the site, the redevelopment of the site. And the vertical development, of course, is to add more inclusiveness to the partnership structure that will allow other developer to partner with THA in doing some of the vertical development. Meaning, it could be the senior housing, or and they will select which one. So based on what they selected, THA will have the right to sort of portion out how many vertical development that they will do. I think the qualification did indicate no more than 2 or so that we will give them, and that's what showed in the qualification. And all those that participate, I submitted their proposal, selected. So when we ranked them, related came in first. All they requested or they competed for was the vertical development. So they're going to be doing one of the multifamily development and the senior housing development. And being that they are score the rest of the developers or proposal in their proposal who requested for that competition or competed for that. So they won that battle. And then on the master development, which will be a partnership with THA to oversee the totality of the redevelopment, that's PMG, Bank of America, CDC, and they're going to be doing the and their score. Everybody else who competed for that, and we're selecting them to do that with us.
All right, thanks, David. And let me just sort of try to go down a few of the questions that may not have been answered yet. One question was, I'm confused about the whole situation, just joined, Ms. Morgan. So just continue to, come back to these meetings every 2 weeks on Thursday, 11 o'clock. We cover the same information. In terms of, another question was, once relocation start, will we be issued a housing trust voucher? That's up to you. If you want a voucher, we will issue you the voucher, yes. But some people will choose to stay in public housing. So you will have a one-on-one counseling session with the manager. And that's when you will tell us if you want Section 8 or if you want to stay in public housing. If you want Section 8, we will send you through the Section 8 process. We'll eventually put a voucher in your hand. You will start looking for private housing with your voucher. If you want to stay in public housing, we ask you which properties, which parts of the city you like to stay in. We put a freeze on new vacancies. So as vacancies come up, you get first right for those vacancies at all of our other properties. And it's just a matter of when that unit comes up and your bedroom size at that property. And we will, transfer you to that unit. Another question, homeownership. Looks like Margaret answered that question. Let's see, when will relocation start? Once again, at this point, 3 to 4 months from now. It depends on when HUD approves the relocation plan that we're going to submit to them in April. So if we submit the relocation plan in April, if HUD takes 30, 60 days to approve it, we'll be looking at a probably June or July timeframe to start relocation. Estimated moving date, once again, it depends on how soon you get ready. Once we start this process, there's classes you'll have to attend. Once you complete these classes, Relocation 101, Supportive Services 101, Section 8 101. And then if you want to get a voucher, we'll put you through a 4th class called The Realities of Section 8. And those are little 1 hour, 2 hour classes that you'll sit for, and we'll give you information to educate you on these different programs and processes. We will give you a certificate. Once you've completed those classes, you then have your meeting with the relocation manager, one-on-one with the relocation manager. And then at that point, you're clear for relocation. And we will then start helping you find either a Section 8 unit or public housing unit. So that's the process that you will go through. Everyone will go through that process. So we can't give you an estimated moving date until you get through the training and until you have your one-on-one meeting. Then it just depends on how quick you move through the process. Do you speak to your caseworker about the FSS program? Absolutely. You can speak directly with Rosa, or if you have a case manager already assigned. Let's see, what is the tally at this point? I think you're talking about the relocation. Based on last week's numbers, about 85% of the people that had already completed the survey chose, is it option 1, Rosa? Option 1 was relocate from Robles?
Yes.
Yeah,
Option 1.
so option 1 was chosen by 85% of the respondents. And 15% chose to stay on site.
Mr. Moore, while you're reading through, question about application fees and deposits.
Mhm.
When people start looking.
Yeah, application fees as well as deposits will be covered by your relocation benefits. So again, none of that starts until after you've completed the classes and until after you have had your one-on-one counseling session with the relocation manager. So you're a couple of months away from anybody getting to that point yet. But when that does happen, we'll explain to you how you would get paid in advance or reimbursed for any application fees you make. And then we will pay your security deposit on your behalf directly to the landlord. Okay. Any other questions I may have missed, Rosa?
The one that keeps coming back is who determines who moves first?
You determine that based on how quick you are ready for relocation. When we post for the training, sign up. Typically, we have had about 30 people per class. That's when we were doing in person. If this, COVID does not start getting better under control, we will probably do all of our classes virtually, which is good because that way we won't have to do a limit. We can pretty much let anybody sign up. But sign up as early as possible for the classes when they're offered. Take the classes, complete the classes, and then we will schedule you for your one-on-one. So, it depends on how quick you are signing up when that sign-up list gets posted. Just like this survey, we're trying to get 300 families. There's 300 families living on site. We've been doing this for almost 4 weeks now. We only have 155. So some people have already done it. When we start the training, be the first to get the training. That's going to put you at the front of the line. Okay? So that's more controlled by you than us at this point. We hope that it's going to be on site and in person because it's better when we can do it on site, in person, in small classes. And when we have done it like that in the past, we will publish a schedule and you will actually write your name on the schedule. We'll have dates and time slots, and you'll pick a date and time slot. And once that schedule fills up with 30 people or so, then that class is locked. If we can't meet in person because of COVID, we will continue to try to adapt everything to the virtual meetings. So some people, seniors especially, are still going to need a little more assistance. Virtual doesn't reach everyone. And we have various levels of success with virtual. You know, we have a lot of boxes up now, but I don't know how many people are truly watching and hearing. Some people turn it up and they go do dishes. Okay, when you're doing the training, you got to sit for the training. You got to absorb this. We give you a quiz at the end so that we know you know how to utilize this voucher, or we know you know what your rights are from a relocation standpoint. So everything is not built for the virtual environment. We hope we can do these classes in person. Yep, somebody's asked to send them a link to the classes. We can't send you the link to the classes yet because, again, the relocation plan is the first thing. Once that's approved by HUD, that's going to start everything. And that's when we'll start posting the link for the classes. Okay.
And Mr. Moore, I think it's important to let residents know that classes will be held at multiple times to accommodate those working people or people that may be in school doing regular hours.
Absolutely. We don't want anyone missing work for this class. We've even had classes on Saturdays as well. So we have them on Saturdays. We'll post them on evening hours. We'll have a lot of classes, you know, for you to be able to pick a time that suits your calendar. Okay. So what we're going to try to do for our next meeting in 2 weeks, like I said, once I get this package submitted to HUD, HUD could take 30 days, 60 days, or even longer to approve it. We don't want to just have that as downtime. We want to be training during that period of time. So we're going to start working with our staff to get ready for those classes. And hopefully once we submit the plan, we can go ahead and start the classes, even though we cannot clear you for relocation until after HUD approves that plan. But that will give us the ability to try to, you know, fast pace some of you who are ready to get this started. And we appreciate that because, you know, there will be somebody moving a year from now. And it doesn't sound like anybody on this line want to be, you know, the last to move. So we want to, you know, try to get that expedited for you, those of you that's willing to expedite it. Okay, so hopefully I answered all the questions. If anybody else has a question I haven't answered, you can unmic and ask the question now. Otherwise, it's every 2 weeks. We'll be right back here, ready to take more questions and give you more information.
Mr. Moore, I just want to let everyone know too that we do have a recording of a prior meeting now posted on the THA website. When you log on to the THA website and you click the departments tab, you can find it in the Program and Property Services department. So that's a prior recording that has a lot of the same basic information that we've covered today.
So Rosa or Todd or somebody, if you guys can put that in the link, put that in the chat, a link to it. That way residents can just click right on it who may have joined late and want to watch that.
And Leroy, the schedule or update on the relocation, also relating to the survey, is there something that we can put on the website, Robles Park? So people
Yeah, when it's actually finished. Yeah, so we're going to close it out next week, Friday. Okay. So you know, we'll announce the results at our next meeting, which is in 2 weeks, and then we will post all that information on the website. Sure.
Mr. Moore, good afternoon. You said that we can unmic and ask a question.
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that I'm understanding correctly. I know you said that everything is like solely based on you guys submitting the proposal to housing and them approving it. That approval is contingent upon us completing the survey, you guys getting that completed. So y'all are, it's like a standstill until surveys is completed. Y'all can get that to housing and then the approval is um has taken place.
Yeah, that is the process. So the survey, we have to be able to justify to HUD that we have engaged the residents. We've consulted with you on the best way to approach the relocation. So that process is the survey. A lot of the meetings we've been having, the information we've been putting out, and then the survey is your answer to that. So you're telling us on that survey, we're asking you two very important questions. One, do you want to remain on site while we do the redevelopment?
Right.
That is, move around, but never have to leave Robles. Or
So
do you?
it's like your tracker, right? Like your tracker, like help us help you. You get a full account of what you guys are working with to roll out.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then
Okay,
we can say to HUD, 85% of the families want to move in a single phase relocation. Therefore, we have developed our relocation plan and our redevelopment plan around just that. It's responsive to the input that we're getting from the residents. If we can't show HUD that it's responsive to the input we're getting from the residents, then that's why HUD will not approve something. So we've always done this. We've done this on all of our other redevelopments. We always start with the residents and get your input, and then
right.
give us a survey, and then we let HUD know we've developed this plan based on that input.
So basically these meetings will continue until you guys get us to a place that we need to be with the surveys or with the totality of everything.
Yeah, the meetings will continue, because some people, it's every 2 weeks. It's almost the same information we give you every 2 weeks. The meetings are just to get as many people informed as possible.
Right.
So we won't stop the meetings once HUD approves it. We'll be meeting in other fashions. But the survey will get submitted to HUD with our redevelopment plan, our relocation plan. And once that's approved, we then can start relocating families
Understand.
from Robles. Right.
And then after that survey, it has been submitted, y'all get y'all approval. That's when y'all will start the posting for the classes that we need to take in order to be relocated.
Yeah, and what I was saying earlier is that we're going to try to start posting the classes and actually start delivering the classes even before we get HUD approval.
Right. That's what I'm just trying to get an understanding of
But
that.
after we've sent the plan to HUD for them to approve it, they'll take a month or two to review and approve it. In that month or two time frame, we want to go ahead and start having the classes.
Yeah, that's what we kind of are. Like, we want to
Correct.
know, like, are we like at step by step, like how y'all rolling it out? Because it's like at a standstill because everybody is not on the same page. I understand that y'all are giving us this information, greatly appreciated, but it's like, okay, some people have these things in order, but if you got some people that procrastinate, it kind of leaves us in a spot where it's like, okay, what am I doing? Where do I go? If I got this and I'm working, if I'm right here and somebody's just at step one, do I have to wait for the person at step one to get where I am, or do I get to carry on to continue my process?
Right, that's a very good point. And that's why we just said we're gonna put an end to the survey. And that end date is gonna be next week, Friday. So, because we've got to move forward. We've now gotten as many people that want to participating, and now we got to move forward to the next step.
Thank you. That's all. That's what I wanted to know. Like, basically, like, where are we and how do we move forward from here? Because it's like everybody's at a standstill waiting for everything else to follow through. But if you're not getting everybody on the same page, it's going to always be right here. We're always going to be right here at the meeting. Same thing, same point, no elevation. But thank you. I appreciate that.
I can appreciate that.
And Leroy, I want to add that actually this meeting, even though we're given the same information, it becomes a good platform for people who don't have questions on like some people may not have questions today, they may have questions next time, just like you're asking questions. So it becomes a good way of us getting feedback from the residents and their questions.
So before we close, I'd just like to reassure the residents that are ready. Once we close this out next week, there's no time lapse in tallying the surveys. The 155 has already been tallied. I already know what the outcome are for those. And as I get these on a daily basis, they're being put in. So as of 5 o'clock next Friday, we will have all the surveys completed. And as of Monday morning, they will be presented to Mr. Moore and he can move to the next step. So the work has been done already, pretty much.
Cool. All right, anyone else? Final questions? Like I said, if you didn't get your questions answered today, come back in 2 weeks. You know, we'll go through the same information and we'll be able to answer more questions. Anyone else? Going once? Thought I heard somebody on mic. All right, well, thank you all so much. Enjoy the